What's up, my dudes? Today I'll be telling you 6 different tools that you probably have around your home that you can use for witchcraft. And these are going to be tools that pretty much anyone can have, or pretty much everyone has in their home. And these aren't really things that you need to go out and buy if you want to start practicing, or maybe you want to do a little bit of witchcraft and maybe you don't want to go out and buy specific things. These are things that most people have around their home, and if you don't have them, then I'm going to be leaving links down below to where you can get them, or you can just go to any store that you want to and pick up these items. These are going to be very cheap items and also items that anyone can use depending on their experience level. Even if you are intermediate or maybe advanced in your practice, then you can use these. These are just things that are pretty common. Also, if you would like to know anything about witchcraft or witchcraft related content, then just subscribe to my channel. I have playlists on multiple different types of witchcraft and also different ways that you can start your practice. This channel is more geared towards beginners, so I'm not really going to be going over anything that's too advanced. So if you're just starting out and you don't really know what to do in your practice, then this is a good channel for you to subscribe to. Also, if you would like to know anything specific, then just leave it in the comments below and I'll make sure to do a video on that, or I'll just answer your question in the comments. Every comment I get, I read and I respond to. I don't know how long I'll be able to do that, but while my channel is growing, I want to make sure everyone that has a question gets answered. And even in the future, I'll try to answer everyone's questions just so you don't feel like you're going unanswered. And if you'd like to support me in any way, just check the description to where you can support me directly. There will be a few links to where you can either support the channel or you can just support me. So the first tool is candles. Now you could either use tea light candles, you can use stick candles, you can use birthday candles. Any sort of candles that you have that you can either scribe to or you can enchant are a good thing to use when you're first beginning. Also, if you would like to use any of the fire elements and you don't want to have an active fire, just lighting a candle and having that element present whenever you're doing any sort of spells, or just on your altar whenever you're doing anything, that's a good thing to use if you're a beginner. Also, if you would like to do certain spells, you can also use certain candles for this. So if you have a 7-day candle and you want to really have a spell work and have it very strong, you can use a 7-day candle. Or if you want to use something smaller like a 1-day candle or just a tea light candle, you can use those for just spells that are a little bit simpler, or spells that you want to manifest a little bit faster. Each candle has its own properties and its own uses, and if you use different color candles, then you can also have different effects. If you would just like to know anything about candles and candle magic, I do have videos, so they're going to be right here. So if you would like to know about candle magic, then just go over here. But candles are a good thing to use because it's very simple. You don't really need to have anything set up. If you want to have this in a travel altar, then you can just have a few tea light candles or a few birthday candles. Then you can use this for multiple different spells, whether you're on the go or you just want to do a spell very quickly. So the second thing you can do is use any sort of notebook and pen. Now this is just a simple sketchbook that you can write stuff in, or you can get a lined notebook so you can have more details, or if you just prefer to write on lines, you can get any sort of notebook or sketchbook that you have. This is good to not only write down the information that you've learned, but also if you have a spell that you have done and you want to sort of go back on it and see how it worked for you and see if you want to do that spell again, this is a good thing to use. So if you would like to, you could also use your phone, but I would suggest using a notebook and a pen just so you can look back on what you've done in the past, and also just keep track of everything that you've learned throughout your practice. So if you have a collection of books from things that you've learned and you like to condense it, you can make it into a grimoire. I'm going to be doing a video on the Book of Shadows and a grimoire. If I already have the video up, then it's going to be right here. But a grimoire or a Book of Shadows is just a good thing to start out, because you don't really need to have anything special to do it. All you need is something to write on and something to write with, and all the information that you've learned or that you are learning, you can put it into this. And the third thing is herbs and spices. Now I have basil right here and also some Italian seasoning. Italian seasoning has a few different herbs that a lot of witches use for their practice, and also basil is a very common one that most witches use. You could also use bay leaves and different types of herbs like that. It doesn't really matter the herbs that you have. Every herb that you have has different properties and different things that you can use it for. Also, if you would like to use a few spices, like I have some black pepper right here, this is just something that will amplify your spells and also help to absorb any sort of negative energies that you have. Whatever type of herb you have or whatever type of spice you have, you can use for witchcraft. Every herb and spice has its own properties, so you just have to figure out what it does and what you actually need it for. And the fourth thing that I could have tied in with number 3, but it deserves its place all on its own, is salt. Now you could either use pink salt, you can use sea salt, you can use black salt, you can use whatever type of salt you want for your practice. Obviously each one will have its own properties and its own pros and cons, but just using salt is something very cheap and something very effective that you can use to not only do magic offensively but also defensively. If you want to absorb negative energies around you, or maybe you want to cast a spell and maybe you want to have a protective circle around you, salt is good for multiple different things, and also you can use it for a lot of different things in your practice, whether you be a nature witch or a green witch or anything like that. Salt has its place in pretty much all practices and can be used throughout your journey whenever you're practicing. Number 5 is any sort of glass jars. These are just whiskey bottles that I keep my moon water in, but just some glass jars, whether that be from any sort of sauces or any sort of thing that you've eaten, or if you have any drinks, or just if you want to go out and buy glass jars. I know some people, they collect containers just because. If you have glass containers, that's good to use. I would suggest use glass over plastic just because it's a lot better for the environment, and also it's better for your herbs and everything to be stored in. But if you do not have any sort of glass jars that you would like to use, going to a thrift store or any sort of secondhand store, they usually have multiple different types of glass containers that you can use. And also, if you have something that isn't capped, like you just have a glass bowl or something, just anything that is glass that you can use is a good thing to use for your practice, simply because it will not draw out the energies of whatever you're doing. So if you have a salt bowl that you want to cleanse your jewelry with, then you can have a glass one. That will be a lot better for you than to use a plastic one. And the last tool, which isn't really a tool, is sort of a mindset, is using yourself. So whether that be using your physical self, like using your hair or your spit or your blood or anything like that, or you just want to use your own energies, regardless of what you're using and what tools you're trying to use and whatever you have, as long as your intent and what you're trying to do is clear, and whatever you're trying to do, you will be able to manifest whatever you want. If you only have a few materials and you would like to do a spell or you would like to do a ritual for yourself, all you really need is your intention and a clear goal set in mind. So you don't have to have a full elaborate like 20-step process to do a spell. This is not to say that you do not need tools. It's just to say whenever you are practicing and whenever you are starting, having a small list of ingredients and more focused on your intent will make it so your practice is a lot better in the long run, rather than relying on tools for everything. As long as you are clear in what you want and you're cleansed and everything, and you meditate and everything that you can to center yourself before you do any sort of practice, it will be a lot better for you. Yeah, that's the end of the video. Hope you enjoyed. These are just 6 simple tools that any witch can use when they're first starting, and you don't really need to go out and buy these. Most people have these at home, especially the last one. So if you would like to know anything in particular about the things that I said, just leave it in the comments below and I'll go into more detail, or I'll make a video on that. If I do have a video, they will be linked above when I'm talking about them. But yeah, that's all I have to say. Hope you're doing well during this time. Hope everyone's doing good. If you would like to have a spell done for you, whether that be because you don't really know what to do, or maybe you just aren't comfortable doing a spell, just go to my social medias and just contact me. They're going to be linked down below, so you can just contact me and I'll do the spell for you, and I'll give you the price list and everything. So yeah, have a good day, night, life. Enjoy yourself and be happy.